a swale, Huantalatal squee, a tal squalowel, close quatzlala, li te jam quelstat. A couple of generations ago in my family, this water channel was still connected to the Fraser, and my dad was little, and his grandfather built a boat, and they would launch their boat from in here and make their way out to do their fishing in the main stem of the Fraser.
The Fraser comes out of the mountains at Hope, where it's very steep and fast and powerful. And then it hits the valley and it sort of flattens out, starts dropping gravel that the high energy of the river's been able to carry out of the mountains. And so the structure of this reach is side channels and gravel bars and islands, very complex. And it's the most, in terms of fish habitat, the most diverse fish habitat in British Columbia in terms of the number of species that are here.
Starting in after World War II, a lot of flood infrastructure was built to protect communities, but without really knowing it, they were also blocking off the passage to these really important sloughs and tributaries and creeks that salmon would normally have gone into, used as refuge and habitat, and in some cases even spawning habitat.
We didn't know that flood infrastructure was such a huge issue for salmon and salmon's ability to access habitat. And all of this started at the grassroots with a couple of really concerned people in one community in the Lower Mainland, in the city of Pitt Meadows, who realized that a waterway in their community was just declining. The health of the waterway was just kept declining year after year. And this is a waterway that they had been able to fish in and recreate by, like canoe and swim in and things. But now the quality of the water was just so poor. And one of the reasons for that was the fact that the whole system was diked.
Flood infrastructure has been called the biggest threat to salmon that most people have never heard of, and I think that's true. I mean, it's estimated almost 1,500 kilometers of stream and slough in the Lower Fraser are either cut off completely or have barriers that are significant barriers that impede access for fish.
The problem is that a lot of this flood infrastructure is now getting quite old. We want to make sure that flood infrastructure is replaced in a way that both serves communities and salmon. So Resilient Waters is a project of Make Way, and we are working on this issue of floodgates and pump stations and dikes in the Lower Fraser River. And we're playing a facilitating and supporting role to work with local governments and First Nations especially, as well as the NGOs and academia, to identify these opportunities to replace this infrastructure and then make it happen.
We want to be able to look at alternative, creative solutions to addressing this particular problem. And that's looking at green infrastructure solutions, nature-based solutions to doing so. But we're also really open to having those really difficult discussions when it comes to governance around how all of this is managed in an area as developed and as urbanized as the Lower Mainland. It's not only about improving habitat for salmon, it's about protecting our communities, it's about preparing for climate change. It's about food security. We want to be able to protect our farmlands, but we also want to be able to ensure there is a good nursery habitat for salmon so we can continue to have salmon in perpetuity.